Hello, I'm John Cole Morgan, and I'm so glad to bring you another installment of the amazing quilters of South Africa. Today, I'm joined by Yolande Steenkamp. Hello, how are you?
Morning, John. I'm doing well, and how are you?
Not too bad, thank you. In a very cold, wet, miserable England, you are bringing a little sunshine to my day.
Oh, South Africa's got a wonderful autumn morning. Yeah, it's sun shining. It's not too hot, not too cold. So it's
Oh,
really nice.
I miss them, I really do. Now, Yolande, tell
Great.
everybody a little bit about yourself. Where are you? How have you come to quilting? How long have you been quilting?
Okay. So I'm staying here in Bronkhorstspruit in Gauteng. I joined the WAU about 10, 11 years ago. I've always been into sewing as a kid growing up in school. My mom taught me. And then when I joined the WAU, there was a friend that I met, and she's actually just staying right across from me. So she's my neighbor. And we got talking, and she had a little quilt thing going on, and she joined me. She asked me to join her for a class to see if I'd like it, and I just fell in love with it. And then I bought a book, and I imported it from somewhere, and the big book of quilting. And it's like you make um, those different kinds of blocks. It shows you how to do a half square, triangle, and all those things. So I made a quilt of that, and then I just carried on from there. So I love buying fabric.
Well, I think quilting and fabric curatorship are two different hobbies.
Yeah, I think so too. Yes. And then, yeah, so I've been quilting for about 10 years, but not full time. I still have kids and I'm working. So I do where I can and when I had time.
And what do you quilt and who do you quilt for?
I quilt what inspires me. So if I see something that I like, I just do it. I'll probably do a bit of research and see what I need and what, but I just do it from my heart. So I'm not a traditional quilter. I sometimes do like to do them, but I've made for my family, for my boys, and for my husband, I've made the big five themed ones. So that was really awesome. And then I made one for my daughter. She it is like a strip quilt, but in beautiful colors. And that one I'm quite proud of. And then I made a couple of recycled jeans, one for my parents. I collected all their jeans in mine. I kept it. I was always wanting to do a recycling jeans project. And so I made them a quilt from all the jeans from mine and my dad and my mother. And that was actually, and she's using it as a throw on her bed. So that's what I do. Yes.
What pattern did you use for the quilt?
I'll WhatsApp you just now because I can't remember. It was something I found on the internet.
Perfect, because I think it's anything we can do to recycle jeans. I love a jean quilt. I've got a
Okay.
whole load of, I do exactly the same thing. So I used to volunteer in a charity shop, and what I would do is I would go and collect a huge amount of these jeans, because if a jean's got a rip in it, they can't sell it. So you'd
Yeah.
buy it for like 10 Rand.
Yeah.
And I'd buy 10 Rand pairs of jeans, but there's so much fabric in jeans. But I'm busy making a cathedral window quilt out of it. I don't know if you've seen
Oh,
the Jenny
that's
Doan one,
lovely.
where you put a beautiful piece of fabric on one side, cut them into circles, put the denim on the other, cut the fabric in half, and then you turn it inside out and then sew them all
Oh,
together.
yes. That must be nice.
I'll send
I've
you a
always
picture when I
wanted to
finish
do
it.
that. Oh, yeah, please do. Yeah. I've made a couple for there was twins. Some of our friends had twins, and then just the week before that, I bought Lego prints, and it was twins, but I got them in an orange, and the other one was in a blue and yellow. So I made them both. It's the same theme, but they're different. And then I quilted them like little blocks. I'm trying it out. I'm not good yet, not there yet, but I think my quilting's not too bad. But I just keep practicing.
Well, that's the process. You just got to keep going and keep going and keep going. Tell me, what brought you to the Voices in Cloth program?
Well, I saw it on a on Facebook, and last year the previous Stellenbosch show, and then the Voices in Cloth theme for Peter Maritzburg came out, and I was thinking, what am I going to do? And then I thought, no, I can't think themes. So I see material and then get something from that. And then when I saw you talking about it so passionately, and I was like, yeah, maybe I must do this. And then Debbie and them said, come on, try, give it a go. So I thought, oh, okay, I'll see what I've got. And then when I saw that red little girl, I said, no, this one's going to be the perfect one. Yeah.
So tell everybody a little bit about your piece.
I like black and white with color with it. So I like to, and then when I saw, and the voices in cloth, you have to have red. Is that, yes. And so when I saw this and then the theme, the voices in cloth was that you need to express yourself. Everybody, and I just thought she was cute, and I just made her. Yeah.
And it's a special piece, it really is. Yolande very kindly made a second quilt for our exhibition, and just look how she made this one.
Oh, thank you.
Are you coming to festival this year?
I will not be coming. I'd love to come, but that's the June, July holiday. So we always go on family vacation that time.
Are
So
you going anywhere
unfortunately,
nice?
yeah, we're going to the Kruger Park.
Oh.
Yeah, we always go there in June, July.
Oh,
So
I
that's
love
going to
it.
be
That is the one thing
awesome.
about England that I miss so much is the Kruger Park. Oh, so beautiful.
Do you love the Kruger Park?
I love the Kruger Park. I love it. I absolutely. And I think when you move to the UK, the you long for dryness, not to
Yeah,
have rain, but it's
yeah,
the
yeah,
sunsets and the noises and the smells and the smell of rain. You can't replicate
yeah,
that.
yeah. I know, and it's always there's not a lot of sun in the UK, is there?
Not really, no. Well, we're now on the 3rd of May. We record these a little bit in advance. And we had 2 days sunshine last week. So that was our summer. We've finished with that now. So we just have rain from now until next February. That's just what the English weather is.
Goodness, no, I won't manage all that. I need the sunshine.
I agree. I love
Yes.
the fact that roosters just crowed in the background there. It's just so
They're just
African.
outside my window.
I love
Sorry.
it. It just makes me
Ah,
so homesick.
where do you come from, John?
So
Where were you born?
I was born in Zimbabwe, and then we moved over in 1980 and I moved to Delmas first, and then I lived in Springs. In 1997, I moved to Johannesburg, and then I moved to the UK in 2001. And I was only coming for
Okay.
6 months to have a look. 23
Okay.
years later, there we go.
Oh, lovely. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
But I'm coming up to that point where I'm almost halfway between living more of my life in the UK than living in Africa, which is a scary little thing to be in.
Will you come back?
It's a hard question because I would come back. I miss South Africa terribly, and I'm not minimizing the problems in South Africa. And I know true South Africans are going to go, "You'd be mad. You can't come back because of the problems."
Yeah,
But
no.
think, I think when you've lived abroad and you get to a certain point in your life, you realize what's important to you. And South Africa is amazing. And there are
Mhm.
problems. I'm not minimizing the problems on any level, but
You've got your business and you've got your,
I
I mean,
know
the quilting world must be big, big overseas.
it is. And it
Yeah.
is, but it's also very competitive, and retail's struggling terribly at the minute. But,
Yes.
I
Oh,
think we all
wonderful.
make choices in our lives, and whether we like it or not, those choices, you stick with that choice and you just go from there. And for now, I'm
Yeah.
happy in the UK, and I'm lucky enough to be able to spend a lot of time in South Africa when I can. So maybe I'm getting the best of both worlds.
Best of
Yeah,
both.
exactly.
Oh, that's
But
awesome.
I would come back, no question. I really would.
Okay. Yeah,
One
whenever.
day. One day. And
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer if I'm meant to come back and it's meant to happen, it'll slot into place and that will happen.
Yeah,
It's
I'm just always curious because I've got also friends that immigrated, but to Australia.
Mhm.
And she just says, some days she's just so homesick. And it's not because it's not the problems, it's just South Africa and the people here. She says it's different.
for me, the people are the big thing. And it's something so
Mm,
fundamental as just even going to the shopping center and just going to
mm,
the checkout clerk and
mm.
the lady on the till or the gentleman on the till, every single one of them are earning little money. But every single one of them, 9 times out of 10, yes, everybody has grumpy days. That kindness, that smile, that genuinely, how's your day?
Yes.
And they genuinely care. And you go to a Quilters Guild meeting, like when I haven't had much experience in it, but
Yeah.
I went to the Stellenbosch Quilt Festival, and the reaction that I had from those women there was so positive and so welcoming and so engaging and so special.
Yes.
The culture in the UK is not that opening. It's not that open. It's not that welcoming. It's not that inviting of strangers into your life. It's much more reserved. It's much more, you have to do a lot
Keeping
more
you on a
work.
distance.
And it is, there's a lot more work to get into people's lives.
Yeah.
So there's a big difference between, I think as you get older, it becomes more important to you having people that genuinely want to be and care about you in your life. And I think in
Yes.
South Africa, the friends that you make in South Africa, they are for life because we're those type of people that we're all in. If you are in my heart, you're in my heart.
Then you're in your heart.
And you're there
Yes.
forever.
Yeah, that's true.
And
Yeah, it's true.
that's a big cultural difference I found between South Africa and the UK. Rightly or
Okay.
wrongly.
Well, it doesn't matter. We all have our thingy.
Exactly.
So,
But
mm,
it is an amazing country with serious problems, just like the UK is an amazing country with serious problems. But you
mm.
don't hear about those because everybody thinks everything else is better on the other side.
Yeah, it's not true.
So it's really
Yeah.
not. So
Okay.
tell me, what has been your best and your worst quilting project?
I don't know, John. I just everything I made with love. So I think the worst one I made was in a rush. So when that friend of mine immigrated to Australia, she didn't give us much time. So I had this piece of cloth with houses printed on them, and then a piece of red fabric. And I thought, no, I'll just make a quick quilt. And then my quilting wasn't great at that time, but I used a stencil. So the theme of the quilt was your home is where your heart is. So I used the stencils and I made hearts and little houses. But it wasn't one of my best quilts. But I think the idea behind it was great. But thinking back now, I don't think I'd given it to her. But
And
it's fine. She uses it as a picnic blanket and
does she
everything.
love it?
Yeah, she loves it. Yeah. And then my best one, no, I don't know. I've got a best one. I just
What's
everyone's
been your favorite one?
my favorite one. I think the recycled jeans one.
Mm.
That was really a special one because it's got a memory to it. So it was when I saw the piece of fabric, I know it's my dad's jeans, it's my mom's jeans, it's mine. And when I go to their home, I see it there and I just feel a bit proud. I feel, yes, it's something for our family.
Mm.
So I think that one was the nicest for me.
But it's also a part of your family and it's from your family as well.
Yes, yes.
Mm.
So the other year I wanted to enter it into the festival. And I said to my mom, can I borrow it? And she, why? And I said, this is it. And I said, but there's always a chance that it might get lost in the postage. And she's like, no, you're not getting it. Sorry, forget it. And I said, please. And she said, no, just leave it. It's fine. You can make another one, not this one. So that one was right great.
Well, I think that's a very proud moment for any quilter that nobody will give it up for a few weeks just in case.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, it's very
So that's
special.
nice. What's your special one? How many quilts have you made?
Oh, quilt tops, probably 500. And then because I
Your
run a long arm quilting business, I'm about 450 quilts in. So of those 400 quilts, for 500 quilt tops, I would say most of them are unquilted. So it's because you're only one, it's just me and my husband. There's no one else to put the quilts for.
Oh,
So
yes.
it's,
So
you
what you
can't,
yeah.
I've got a pile over there. I'm sitting in my house and I've got a pile over there, about 25 quilts in a pile. And we always
Oh
use the
no.
same one because it's on the top. So it's,
Don't you quilt them yourself?
I do, I do.
On what machine? Have you got
I've got a
a
handy
long arm?
quilter Amara, so I've got a giant
Oh,
quilting machine. So I
okay,
love it.
great.
It's absolutely incredible. I had a few problems with the first two, but this one's amazing. It's an absolutely incredible machine.
Oh, great. Yeah, I just use
Mhm.
my domestic, and so I try not to pile them up. I try and finish it before I do the next one.
I know.
So, and
Because
that's
for
been
me,
working great.
I do a
It
lot
just
of
takes
television
time.
work and I do a lot of selling stuff on the TV. So when you do a TV show, you've got to have 6 or 7 quilts. Because what will
Mm-hmm.
happen is if you've got 2 quilt kits and they sell out, you have to have a third one. So you make the same quilt in 3 different colorways. So if that pattern sells out, then you use that one, and you've got to have samples ready to go on each one. So
Oh,
I
goodness.
did that for about 3 years. So if you can imagine, every 3 to 4 weeks, you're making 6 or 7 quilt tops along the way. They're all shop samples. So you get a collection in the shop, and then you try and make something up, because people struggle to see how to use the fabric. And then if you do
Yes.
a quilt design or a quilt pattern and then make the quilt up, it sells the fabric a lot quicker. So it's quite special having that skill to be able to do it. But you do then end up with loads of quilt tops that you're not quite sure what to do with.
But where do you have you got photos on the net of your quilts?
So yes, they'll be in various different Facebook pages that I've got. But what I'm planning on doing is, through this whole process of these interviews, I've realized how I need to go through those and actually do something with them. So I have a project in mind, but I need to finish this project before I start the next project, because I'm not very good at
Yeah,
staying focused and getting it all done.
because I would love to have a look at what you've made. Not all of it, just a little bit.
Pleasure.
So if you can just tell me, are you on your Facebook? Is there pictures on your
Yes, so if you
Facebook?
look on, you'll need to go back. So I think the most recent ones that I did was at the Festival of Quilts in the UK. And I created 8 quilts in 6 weeks, literally from beginning to end, competition
Your
fee. And one of them came third in the UK. So that was a bit
Oh, wonderful.
mental. That I'm very proud of. That piece was called Worthless. And what had happened was, sorry, we're going very off topic here. Apologies. This is meant to be about Yolande. So what I did was I went on eBay and I bought this piece off eBay, and this woman had passed away, and somebody had bought this piece in the mid 80s and put it on a shelf, and it was all folded, and it was all English paper
Yeah.
piecing made by hand, this gorgeous octagon. But the problem was, and the reason why she never made anything, when you lay it flat, there were ripples everywhere, so that it didn't quite line up. So it was, when you
Okay.
lay it all up, you had like a big mountain in the middle.
Okay.
But what the woman had done, because you had that mountain, it was impossible to get it down as one piece. So she folded it up and she had it on a shelf. And what had happened was, the sun had hit that quilt every single day for years. So all the fabric along that line, and it was a thick line, it was about that long, had completely discolored all of the fabric on the side. And because the fabric was so fragile, it had disintegrated. So there were these massive holes in the project. So
Yeah.
she sold it on eBay, and I think I bought it for about 500 Rand, including postage, which wasn't a lot of money. And I bought
Yes.
it, and what I wanted to do was to make a quilt called Worthless, because every quilt you've ever made, I've ever made, anyone's ever made, they always go, oh, it's okay, but I made an error there and that's wrong, and then, and by pointing at it, in my mind, you make the quilt worthless, because no one's going to see that error, just
Except you.
you. So what I did was I embroidered onto these bright pink arrows the word worthless. And everywhere there was an error, I pinned the word worthless, pointing at the error. And I made this massive banner at the top called Worthless, and I entered it and I entered it into the category called Sustainable, because the sustainable quilt category, you have to use 90% of the project has to be from recycled projects. Major controversy, because obviously I didn't make the middle bit. So I contacted the head judge in the UK and said, this is what I want to do. And she said, absolutely not. Can't do it in sustainable. It has to be in 2-person, because you didn't make the piece. And I said, you're quite right. I'm entering it. And I came third. And it was like, when I saw it, and I was hanging the quilts, so I saw the head judge, and I went over it before the judging had begun. I said, listen, thank you so much for your time. I hope you won't be offended. I totally and utterly ignored you, and I entered it anyway. And she was like,
Then it
well,
came
you
third.
won't get anywhere. It'll be, and she's a lovely lady, and she felt a bit wrong that I hadn't listened to her, which I get. And then about 5 hours later, when we were pinning all the awards on the quilts, she came to me and she says, I just want to tell you, I was wrong. And I said, oh, okay.
What? Excuse me?
And then she says, and well done. I was like, for what? Because by this point I didn't know. Because normally what happens,
Yes.
you don't know, because the prize giving is at the same time the show opens on the first day. But because I was
Okay.
hanging the quilts, I was able to, may or may not have phoned Claire Wallace and gone, you came second. I came
Oh,
third.
yes, that's so awesome.
It was a
Yeah.
very, very special moment.
Can I ask you another question? When you make a quilt,
Mm.
do you plan it all the way? Do you or you just go with it as you go along?
Both. So at the moment, my festival entries, now it's the 3rd of May, 2024, not one of my festival entries has been started. I'm entering 3.
Mm,
So we're
oh
trying not to
goodness.
panic, which is breathing. So when I've got something coming up, I will always plan it and I won't do anything about it until I've planned it and I know what I want to do. And then when I know what I want to do, most of my time is with quilting design is the thinking process. So
Yeah,
I'll
the
come up with an
planning.
idea. So I've gotten my applique is appalling. It is absolutely appalling. I went to Vilna Heineke's class and I look at her piece applique and I'm like, how do I get to that? But for me, they're terrible. They're not anywhere like the standards that it should be. And I'm
Yeah.
never going to be an award-winning quilter again. I had the right piece, right time, right judges. It was great. Never going to happen again. And I'm okay with that. I've won an award. I'll never be an award winner again. And I put that whole thought process out of my mind. And I then just go and make something that I genuinely love, using colors
Yes.
that I love. And I just can't wait to put them all together. So that's the process. I think about what I'm doing and then I design it. Now I can tell you this because this will air after the judging's happened. And then I'm making a whole cloth quilt called 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh,
Naughty. But what
yes.
I'm going to have is 49 squares, all with straight lines, doing different straight lines in different greys. And then
Yeah.
the cheeky bit is the 50th square will be my bright red binding around this black quilt with these 50 shades of grey all the way through it, using all
Oh,
my
that'll
different
be
greys. And
awesome.
right in the center is going to be a little red heart.
Oh, that's going to be so
So it's going to be
awesome.
a really simple thing, but it's just a case, it's straight line quilting. It's not going to be anything good. I'm not going to win it because it's a whole cloth and I'm going to stitch the squares out in each one. They're
Yes.
all going to be the same size and different designs in each one.
Yes. Oh, that's going to be lovely. I'm looking for it. I'm going to
But the irony of
watch you.
that was at the festival, they've got a teacher's challenge, which is you have to make a quilt about a book. And I thought
Oh,
about my 50 Shades of Grey quilt way before I heard of the teacher's challenge. And then I was like, well, I can't enter that into the teacher's challenge because that's
challenge.
a little
That's a
naughty.
biggie. Oh, that's awesome.
And then, of course,
Yes.
I want to make a miniature, given the fact I've curated a miniature quilt project. I've got to do a miniature as well. But that one
Yeah.
I've not even thought about yet. But it's for me, it's a case, I think, thinking about the quilt and how to do it is more important to me than actually the finished project.
Doing it. Yes. Yeah. Because I
And I
always
think,
get so excited and then I do it. And then when I start it, I think, no, I'm going to change it here a bit and there. But
mm,
then once I see where it's going I'm glad that I'm doing what I thought it would be, and I kind of lose interest. And then it's not interest, but it's like, you battle to finish it because now I know I can do it and it looks like, but yeah, I do finish them. So that's really nice.
so what's next for you? What's next on your quilting journey?
John, at the moment, because I'm still working and I still got the kids, uh, I just do what I feel like doing, and I don't have a plan for it. But then in a couple of years' time, we might go moving to the Cape, and then I'd be quilting full time. So then it'll be more serious, and so I don't have it. I just do it for the fun of it. It's good for my soul. It relaxes me, and I like creating things.
Do
So
you get
there's not a definite plan.
do you get peace from making things with your hands?
Yes, I do. Yeah, it gives me a serene feeling, and when you're stressed and you've got so many things going on and you're overwhelmed, then when I sit down and I do this, it's like it focuses you, it makes you mindful, and that I think that's what the therapy in it is for me.
Well, I think as
Yes,
well, the love of it is that you can actually just stop. And then I think equally making something beautiful when you're needing to be mindful as well. I think that's very special. Do your
yes.
kids quilt also?
No, I've got two boys, and one's a matric, and the other one's in grade 8. So no, they're not sewing. Well, not per se, but the one in grade 8, he's done a couple of things on my machine, a few lines. UNA is a horse rider, and she made herself a num-num once, and she was very impressed. And yeah, but I can't say that she's a sewer. So they know about it, and they're always hanging around, hovering, seeing what I'm doing and how I'm putting things together. But no, they're not sewers.
We'll call them reluctant enthusiasts.
Yes, that's the thing. Yeah, so I do that, and that's my thing.
Do you have any quilting inspirations in South Africa?
No, I look at magazines, mostly on Facebook. I must say that that group we're on, when they show the pictures of what they're doing, he's like, I get all excited, and I'm thinking, oh, I love the half square triangles, I like the circles. So yeah, it's not something that I follow. It's just a question. It sounds boring now,
I don't
but
think
I
it's
just
boring at all. No, not at all.
yes, but I do love my sewing, and the nice part about it, when I want to sew and I open that cupboard and all that fabric's there, and I'm just like, I bought this one and I'm going to do this one, and then so I always buy it with something in mind, and then I keep it in little boxes, all the material together. So I want to do a beehive and bees and black and yellow, so I got that all together in a packet, and then the next one, so that I get the idea, buy the material, and then when I have the time, I just put it together. Yes.
I do the same. So I've got quilt projects. I always put the fabric together and the pattern, because you forget that if you've got the
Yes.
pattern, put the pattern with it. Otherwise, you lose
Yeah,
where the
you
pattern
put the
is.
pattern in. Yes, 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 I do that.
Or at least
Otherwise
a
you forget.
note with what the pattern was, because you pick up a bag of fabric 3 years later and go, what the hell was this
What
for?
did I do with this? Yes.
So,
Yeah.
yes.
So that's it. Yes.
If
Are
you were
you
to
gonna be
give,
at the Are you gonna be at the festival?
I am indeed. I am hosting the awards dinner and the goodbye dinner and teaching. So
Yes.
I'm
That's gonna
terrified.
be awesome. Terrified. Why?
It's a big responsibility, and I think because I don't even live in South Africa. How I've become so well known in South Africa is quite extraordinary, but it's wonderful and I love it. And I'm very aware there's not going to be enough time to have quality time with each person when I'm there, which is my only drawback on it. And
Okay.
but also having gone to Stellenbosch 2 years ago, I don't know if you've done a quilting festival in South Africa yet.
Yes.
But it just blows you away. There's so much to see. There's so much talent, and it's just wonderful. I love it to bits.
Yes. I remember I was there for 4 days, and by the last day, I took time every day to walk through the hall. And then every day I saw something that I didn't see the other day. And then I watched your videos and I think, well, I haven't seen that one. And then I would run back and go see. So that was awesome. Yes.
Quilt festivals, they exactly as you say, that you go through all these amazing quilts and you see all this amazing stuff, and you never quite see them all. It's mad
Yeah. Yeah, it's mad.
and wonderful. Is there anything I haven't asked you that you'd like to tell us?
No, I think you just one of your questions were what advice would I give other quilters? And I think it's such a cliche, but that from measuring twice and remember the quarter inch. I mean that's just that's the two big golden rules, I would say, for
Fundamental.
quilting. Yes, yes, yes. And I
Yeah.
think we shouldn't be too strict with yourself. Be artsy about it and don't put yourself in a little box. So, go with it and see what your heart tells you and what your creativity tells you. Yes.
Brilliant. Well, I can't wait to one day meet you somewhere along the line. I can't wait. And thank you so much for being a part of this. It's been really special.
Oh, thank you. And you've inspired me, I must say. It pushes boundaries. So that's what I like about quilting. You think you can't, and then you do it, and you say, "Oh, well, I can." And somebody says, "Yes, but it's beautiful," and you're like, "That's average," but somebody else thinks it's gorgeous, and that makes it worth it.
But I think if
Yes.
you remember, it may be average to you right now, but if you did it again and the more you do it, the less average it becomes.
Yes, it will. Yes, yes.
Wonderful. Thank you all so much for joining us, Yolande. That was an absolute pleasure. I'm so, so grateful for your time. Have a good one.
Thank you.
See you all next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I'm Yolande Steenkamp. I'm from Bronkhorstspruit in South Africa. Um, my piece is black and white, and it portrays the Voices in Cloth theme. My quilt's name is Express Yourself. So I think one has to be confident in yourself and be who you are. So the lady that I made, she's all bold and she's got all these glitters and everything. So that's what I'm going to do.